at NTV.
Good morning to you once again. It's still morning at NTV. Thank you so much, Christy Genry and Jacob Oulanyah, chairperson for National Youth Council. Now, we get to take note this morning as we continue on. But before we get into that, we do have some reactions on Twitter for some of you that have responded to our opinion poll this morning. Okay, taking it from Rukundo Benjamin, you say Ugandans should learn to keep their word as well as their promises. The late speaker, Jacob Oulanyah, was well known for that. Thank you so much, Rukundo, for that response. And then we take another one from Honorable Jeremiah. May the soul of the Honorable Jacob Oulanyah rest in revolutionary peace. He was a leader who worked for unity of parliament and that of greater people of Uganda. Wow. And then we do have Mayeku Peter saying, I have realized that at the end of it all, there's no need for hatred. Therefore, we should live in love, peace, and harmony with one another. R.I.P. Jacob Oulanyah. We do have Alfred also saying, I have learned to live a life of purpose. Rest well. Retired, right, Jacob Oulanyah. We do have Rukundo Benjamin, and he's stating Ugandans should learn to keep their word as well as their promises. We have looked at those. Okay, so we shall sample more of your eulogies at the end of this morning. But this morning, I continue with Take Note, and we are wanting to look still at the life of Honorable Jacob Oulanyah. And he stated that he lived by 3 principles. The first one, is it okay with God? The second one, is it okay with him? And the third one, is it going to be a decision that is going to impact society when I wake up the next morning? And I believe from all of the stories, the sharings that have been talked about left, right, and center, we clearly see that those principles have guided every decision and every partnership and every friendship that he has built over the course of his life. And this morning we are honored yet again to host a friend, one that he dreamed with, had light conversations with, but also built technology with. And we want to find out what was the role of Jacob Oulanyah that he played in fintech advocacy. Here to have this conversation with me is Mr. Innocent Kawoya, who is the CEO for High People. Good morning to you, Mr. Innocent Kawoya.
Good morning, Priscilla, and good morning to all the viewers of NTV. I'm happy to be here to talk about a friend that maybe was one of a kind. I hope I get another speaker friend somewhere. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, let's. Yeah. I want to go back to that day that you actually got to meet Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah. What were the events that led to that meeting? What was the purpose of that meeting, and how did that translate into a friendship?
Well, I have a habit of keeping numbers of important people in society. So I have almost every single member of parliament's number and minister's number always in my records. So when there's a new parliament, because the numbers are published online, I look out for them and keep them. So we have a friend and who is a patron, Honorable David Karubanga. In 2013, before he became MP and became minister eventually in 2016, had a relationship with the late speaker, and somehow I had earlier sent the speaker a message and asking him to meet him. By then he was deputy speaker, and I had to tell Honorable David Karubanga that, I want to meet the speaker. I sent him a message, said it's okay. Could you go with me? Because I don't want him to look at me as. He's like, no, but he's a good man.
And undermine you, the conversation that our predecessors have been having here with young people and how they're received, by the elderly in different capacities. Yeah.
So Honorable Karubanga said, no, it's okay. I'll drive you to Parliament, and it's okay. So somehow, when we reached, it was just an introduction. This is the guy I want, and we were okay. We had a conversation about digital innovation, deep about digital innovation. And I remember that they asked me a lot of questions about what do you use your phone to do? Does it make any money for you? And those are questions we usually ask ourselves. So what happened eventually was I found it much easier going forward to talk to the late on phone, send him a message. For me, the habit was usually, because I knew he was a busy person, I send him a text and tell him, Honorable, are you busy now? then he calls you back. Most of the time, he used to call me most of the time. I think if I ever called him, it was only like about 4 times. But most of the time, send him a text and then he calls you. And for many times, there were many things that happened about him and around him that became very, very interesting for me. His character, his way of relating with people he just met. I mean, he meets you 5 minutes, and then after a conversation of knowing I am this person, then he knows something from where you come from. Then he wants to sing, he wants to tell you this kind of stuff. So he was really a person that wanted to relate with people in a very, very customized way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we do have Innocent Kawoya telling of this story that started in 2013, and they've had a wonderful relationship that has gone the course of 9 years until the life of the late Jacob Oulanyah was cut short on the 20th of March 2022. But he is the CEO of High People. High People, through its Include Everyone program, identifies, analyzes, and also promotes trends and innovations in digital financial services that have potential impact on financial inclusion in Africa. And this is where things like mobile money fall, which is a very big conversation. And we want to talk about, over the course of your relationship with the late speaker, what role did he actually play in the country as far as fintech technology is concerned?
Thank you for that question. When you're talking about fintech or financial technology, to be better understood by all the viewers, you're talking about leveraging technology to disseminate financial services, and as a result play a role to help in the world achieve full financial inclusion soon. Of course, tied to one of the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, number 1, eradicating poverty. Technology or financial inclusion and financial technology can never be achieved without digital inclusion. If people are not using phones, if people are not using internet, if people are not using computers, then it would be the biggest joke we'd ever have as players in the space.
Right.
So every single day, we speak to donors, to foundations that fund, to governments, to regulators, to DFSPs, to banks, to fintechs, to aggregators, and all that. And part of the biggest discussion is around ensuring that we have favorable regulations and an environment that allows everyone that is a participant to fairly compete and participate in the creation and dissemination of inclusive and instant payment systems and other solutions that help in creating inclusivity for everyone. So the late speaker for in that context was a vocal enabler of voices and that allow for digital inclusion and digital innovation. I mean, for all the times, for anyone that knows me personally, they know that when you meet me, the first 2 minutes can be about anything, but the next minutes are always about technology, any day, anytime. So we had discussions on that every single time. But then, how do you lead without even showing an example? Just yesterday, I was moderating a panel discussion about digitization and digital innovation at the Business Trendsetters event. And a part of the things that I wanted to ask everyone that was in the room was, wait a minute, we start companies, especially our startups and our small and medium-sized companies, and advisors in business tell us, get a good board of governors, whatever it may be, get this kind of patronage. And then you ask them, wait a minute, where are you going to get patronage? Where are you going to get a board when even your father does not believe in you? Where are you going to get patronage when even your spouse don't believe in what you're doing? So then you have one Jacob Oulanyah who says, okay, I like what you're doing. Come to my office. Let's go. Maybe I'll take you to this kind of place. So I remember there was a time when we were working on Life of a Champion, a movie that featured, among others, Gorola Moses and other Ugandans. It's my first title, and it's on Amazon now. And I asked him that, Honorable, I want you to be one of the people that support this movie as an executive director and all that. We were in his office, and he had some dollars. So he told me, what does an executive director do? I told him, first of the things, they have to come with some money. The other is they're supposed to offer patronage. And then I told him, I want us to sell this movie to the parliamentarians, have a screening in Parliament and have everyone watch it, and maybe they pay some little money.
And did that finally happen?
Well, that did not happen, but the screening somewhere else at Acacia happened. He was the chief guest. He made it to the movie as an executive producer, director, and he also made sure that they picked some dollars and said, okay, how much is used to rent a camera? And like for one day, like, okay, let me give you some dollars, yes, some good amount.
Incentive, yes.
Incentive, and then it's like, okay, for whatever you want for the movie, you need some bit of voice to add to the conversation, please come to me anytime. And then he did it, as he said. I remember on the day of the premiere.
So he was a man of his word, and
yes,
he kept his promises.
Exactly. So on the day of the premiere, I remember Brenda, it was one of his assistants. She kept telling me, Innocent, is everything ready? Honorable wants to come. I thought I was the one who was supposed to call him and remind
put
him.
On pressure.
Yeah, on pressure.
Are you still coming? Because
yeah,
of, the stature of his.
Yes, yes. So his team, the head of protocol and all that, were on location, I think 2 hours before the premiere happened. But why am I speaking about things like the movie and all that? When we're speaking broadly about digital innovation and digital inclusion, we don't want to be in a situation where we are creating an ecosystem that does not create examples for others to leverage and be able to actually grow their own way. Leadership in many ways is not just supposed to be about me saying, we want you to do this, we are showing you how to do it. But rather, we can do something as a sample and show everyone, and then everyone takes their own direction and their own perspective of what they see.
Right.
So we had one that was an enabler for us.
So let's talk about the movie that you talked about, Life of a Champion. Of course, he supported you financially and in any way and capacity that he did. Then again, what were the ripple effects of that movie to the people that got to actually, enjoy it, watch it? Well, and what was the purpose of it?
Well, the purpose was one, because it's an autobiography, partly speaking to the big story of what Gola Moses, the sportsman, was and what he means to the young people and the youth. And well, to start with, it was the first ever Ugandan movie to make it to Amazon, as in no one ever got there.
It's an achievement.
But part of the reasons why we got there was I was personally inspired by the people like the late and Professor Maggie Chigos and a few others who made sure they had skin in the game. They tell you, hey, you're doing this, we are supporting. You want this, we are going to do ABCD for you. So we got there. We were able to document a story that would otherwise only be realized later by many people, not only Ugandans, but the entire world. Okay. But then we're also able to create a space for people to exercise their abilities, to act, to speak, to entertain. I mean, it is very important.
So you created room for people to express their talents and their giftings through that particular movie.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Let's talk about the other achievements that you had in partnership with the late Jacob Oulanyah through your work with FinTech.
For me, since the time when we actually premiered the movie, it became a different other story, because we had very many relationships. We used to work out with him in Munyonyo almost every other morning at 4 a.m. I mean, we had very many discussions. I mean, one time somebody called me very early in the morning, and then we had a discussion that was not really that very important for a morning. So he told me, Innocent, you wake up in the morning and you speak about that kind of stuff. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you going to run your day successfully?
Yeah. Of course, the picture that you were seeing there is of the late Jacob Oulanyah having that meeting with Gola Moses and his title. Yes, please. Yeah.
So that's the meeting I was telling you about. Right. One of the things we had, that was about Gola's win. So
you can see him stamping the table, amused by Gola's humor.
Yes.
All right.
I thought we could present him the belt, so it was also very important. Actually, that time we were doing a tour. We wanted everyone that hadn't watched the fight at Freedom City to see the international belt that Gola had won. So, for everything that happened, especially on a personal basis, leadership for me has been a thing that I always wanted to have, and every single time I identify myself as a leader. So I remember in 2019, I told him, I am going to be standing for Lord Mayorship of the city. And he's like, He's like, are you going to beat this man
now
here?
You're talking my kind of language.
Yeah. He's like, are you going to beat him? I'm like, yeah. So what is the plan like? I am going to do this, our agenda is going to be digitizing Kampala. Like, oh, that's a beautiful one. Keep it, don't tell anyone about it now, because you should use it alone for now, because that's who you are.
Yeah.
So before we knew, we were able to also create other synergies for 2019 and 2021. I had so much influence, and I still have, especially in the northern region, with the creative arts sector. I mean, almost every single prominent musician in the northern region is my friend. So I told you, oh, Honorable, now we should use this power as well somewhere. I want to take you to these people. I want you to talk to them. They should be able to help you campaign as well. And I did, and I was happy. The first bit was him winning the vice presidency, I mean the vice chairmanship of the NRM. Then the next bit was him becoming speaker, and I was really, really very happy. Yeah. If there is anything I had so much hope in regards to politics, was the fact that I had seen my friend walk from that journey and become the speaker. I remember before the elections of a speaker, it was very, very rare that people who knew him personally would actually come out and share posters and make customized posters campaigning for him. So because I had so many photos with him, I asked our creative director, please create for me a poster that shows I am campaigning for my friend. I am okay whether we win or lose, I am for my friend. So someone was telling me, aren't you going to be campaigning for Mama Rebecca? I'm like, oh, she's a mother, and I know her for some reason, but I know Honorable Jacob Oulanyah as my friend.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Innocent Kawoya, CEO for High People, and we're talking about the influence of the late Jacob Oulanyah in regards to financial technology evolution in the country Uganda. So, as you have had this stride of time with your company, most especially, what do you state are still the missing gaps, or in terms of advocacy for digital inclusion in Uganda?
Well, you've seen things like the mobile money tax, you've seen the OTT, and then you've seen the National Payment Systems Act that was instituted by the governing body, the central bank, last year. We have more than 75 fintechs operating in Uganda, but as we speak, only 12 have been licensed under the National Payment Systems Act. And why? Maybe because all of them are the big players.
No,
yeah.
Maybe it is because they're the ones who have been able to meet every nitty-gritty requirement.
Well, meeting the requirement might not be the first thing we talk about, but rather does the environment that has been created actually allow the small and the big players? If they're asking for Regina to have $1 billion shillings on account before they get a license, and she doesn't have it, she's been kicked out, technically. I mean, it's a simple way to tell you.
It's protocol, it's procedure.
It's procedure.
That means that they're simply telling me that I better work on my license to be able to then benefit from that 1 billion shillings that is available for me.
No, the reverse is also true. They are telling you that if you don't have $1 billion shillings as security that should be deposited on an escrow or somewhere, you're actually not supposed to be having a license.
Okay.
It's like someone coming out and saying that for anyone to have a national ID, they must belong to a given party.
It is tomorrow when he will be finally laid to rest. We do have Jackson Onyango in Omoro district, and we want to hear from him. What is the state and the program for today? Good morning to you, Jackson.
We are coming to you from northern Uganda, where the activities for the burial of the former Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, have now shifted from Kampala to Omoro, where his body was brought yesterday and accompanied by a procession for a 5-kilometer journey from Lalogi Primary School, where he attained his primary education, to his home in Ayomlong, Ajuri village, where the body is currently. The body was received by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, that is Thomas Tayebwa, accompanied by the third Deputy Prime Minister, as well as ministers and members of Parliament from this region and the family members. Of course, the father last evening was grieved to see the body, and he looked to be discontented with what was going on, other than just the death of Oulanyah, but it seems the activities or whatever surrounds, there is something that he was not happy about. That evening, There was a vigil accompanied by prayers, of course, for the soul of the late Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, who has been hailed as a hero by many people there. Now, today we expect a council meeting, a joint council meeting involving leaders from Lango, Acholi and West Nile sub-regions to be held today, and that is going to start at around 11 this morning, although it may be delayed. On grounds, all the preparations are underway. Of course, the compound had been paved. Part of the structure that Oulanyah was constructing had been prepared, and actually that is where his body is lying currently. That is from yesterday. Today it will be there, before it will be moved tomorrow to the Ajuri Primary School grounds, where the main function will be taking place before his burial that same day, Friday. So that's how the situation is. There were many people on ground. Actually the place is having heavy traffic. The security has been deployed in the area. For those who want to access the home, they have to be checked. But also there are COVID-19 measures that are being observed, like putting on mask. It is a recommendation. Those who do not come with a mask at least are provided with one. Also, the Red Cross team is on ground just to help in case of any incidences there. That's the situation currently in Omoro district, and we shall be updating our viewers here and outside the country on what is taking place as far as the burial arrangements for the former Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah.
Thank you so much, Jackson Onyango there, reporting live from Omoro district. And he has talked about last night there was a vigil on prayers for the late Jacob Oulanyah. This afternoon, or today, there's an expectation of a joint council meeting of leaders from Acholi, Lango, as well as West Nile coming together to make final preparations. Innocent Kawoya, CEO for High People, but also a personal friend of the late Jacob Oulanyah, is yet to make his route to Omoro district and pay his last respects to the fallen speaker. And in your parting shots, Innocent.
Thank you. Of course, we'll always return to Omoro. We're not going to just bury him and leave him there. But I pray and believe, of course, for all the times I saw the late, he was always happy. Even there was a time when he was feeling bad, he had some pain here, and he was saying, do I have a cancer, something? So he went and had some checkups, and it wasn't by that time. But you know, we live in this world and we always strive to find our own city of our peace and our joy so that we live happily. But we also pray that when someone passes on, even in heaven or paradise, wherever they go, they find their own city of peace and joy, and they find the justice they always desire to have. So we pray that the Lord rests the late Jacob Oulanyah in peace. For the family, we're sure the legacy left behind should inspire you and everyone in the world to do better, to love people, to inspire whoever you can, and make use of every day to the best of your abilities. May God bless his soul. Yeah.
All right, may his soul rest in peace. Thank you so much, Innocent Kawoya. And this does bring us to Mr. Onyoro, who is in Entebbe, and he's actually having a dialect about UNRWA removing certain poles from the Entebbe Express Highway. Ivan, talk to us about exactly what the condition of the road is and why are they removing these particular barricades at such a time as this, and yet they're supposed to be serving a purpose of ensuring that different lanes are respected.
Well, thank you very much, Chris and Priscilla. I am coming to you from the Entebbe Expressway here in Abaita Babiri Katawi Town Council, Wakso District. This road was commissioned by the President in 2018, and from Busega up to here in Entebbe, we know that it's a road where everyone who has a car would want to test the highest speed. But apparently we know that just a day or two ago, UNRWA has embarked on maintaining this road, because one of the designs that was given to this road is putting the green metal barriers that were at the divide of this road. If you can see, both the to and fro had been divided by the metal barriers, and this was to deter the motorists from crossing from one lane to the other, but also regulating the pedestrians who want to cross on the road here. The grass was also planted as part of the beautification that the road was given, but apart apparently all of late, UNRWA has started removing these barriers here. I was speaking to the UNRWA deputy spokesperson, that's Alan Sempe, and he told me the reason why they are removing these green metal barriers that were in the middle, it was that the motorists had taken, you know, upon themselves to always crush them. They were very weak not to defend the cause that was intended, and some of them who were errant, those who were high speeding and those who, you know, were not regulating themselves could crush them through an accident, and we've seen many of them coming through. If you remember, by 2019, 2020, let me say 2018, Entebbe Road was ranked among those that had registered the highest number of accidents here. But UNRWA says they're now going to put more other heavy metals that will deter cars, that even if there is an accident, a car is not able to cross from one lane to the other. You can see from my background, all the metals in the lane have been removed, and we do not know now when UNRWA will start doing this, because if they are left open like these, people are now, pedestrians are now able to step into the grass upon crossing, and every point will now be a crossing center, which will not be good. And you know, motorists on this road, the speed at which they drive really does not allow that people should cross from every point here, because even if there have been those zebra crossings, but often many times we've seen people being, you know, knocked from those places here. It remains a question when UNRWA will, of course, put back the metals, like I earlier said, because people are now crossing from every point here. If you can also remember that this road away from Busega to Mpala, it remains a normal road, not now an expressway, but motorists have not, you know, taken to put that in mind, that when they reach Mpala, there is a sign that someone should slow down a speed. But for them, when they're driving, you really think they're just testing the speed of their cars. But well, like you can see, let me just speak to a gentleman here. Onomusajja gwensanza ayimiridde mu busubi. Sebo lwaki oyo n'omuddo gwa UNRWA?
Kama mbadde nsaa kunsonyiwa.
Wano nga ndaba tebasalirawo.
Mukama wange nanti obuma babugyemu kati tusalira buli lutwagala.
Okay, kale tuwulireko kati UNRWA yaggyewo obuma wakati mu kkubo wano obubadde butangira abantu okubeera nti basalira buli wantu. Nga bwe tumanyi nti ekkubo lino abantu bavugirako sipiidi nnyo. Naye mwe nga abasalirawo, kiki kye mulowooza ku buuma buno bwe baggyewo?
Twebaza Katonda UNRWA bafunye ekirowoozo ekyo okuteekawo ebibaati ebinene n'eggyawo obuuma buno obutono. Tujja kwebaza Katonda nga balese ebibaati ebinene naye mu bwangu, kuba abantu bagenda kusala buli mu wayagalira asalirewo, emmotoka zigenda batomera. So tusaba UNRWA ereete ebibaati ebyo mu bwangu ebinene, kuba tugambye bagenda kuleeta nga biri ebyezana eno kusimanya kumatamata, yes. Kati babireete mu bwangu abantu nga tebannafa, era kirungi nnyo ekyo ekintu kyakoze kyakabi.
Tulaba nti wadde babadde bateekamu ebyuma, naye abantu basalira we baagala, ekiro osanga batomedde abantu, naye n'abantu nabo kino kitegeeza gye mulimwe abantu abasalirawo, kuba kati buli wamu mujja kubanga mwagala salirawo.
So kirungi ekyo kubanga kigenda kuyamba n'abasazi b'ekkubo beebereremu. So tosalira buli woyagala, ate we bajja muno obuuma buli omu ajja salira wakola ki wayagala, si kirungi. Era NTV.
Kale katukomao. Well, Chris and Priscilla, that's just one of the pedestrians here. But well, it remains to be very important for people to also take it upon themselves that when they're now crossing this road should be more careful, because we have seen in the past traffic report, the RDC of Entebbe, who was here before he was transferred, used to say that the night economy, the people who are, you know, driving on Entebbe Road at night were the ones who were causing more havoc. They are the ones who were more involved into accidents, and accidents were most of the times happening at night. And perhaps that could make someone think that maybe the other economy of people who take the other doors of what you know. But of course the question remains that UNRWA should up the sleeves and make sure that these metals are replaced as soon as possible for us to not see more accidents happening on this road. That's what I can tell you for now. Back in the studio, a very good morning to you and our audience.
And thank you so much for that report. It does bring light to a very good issue, and the man addressed it very well in Luganda. Sichirungi nnyo. Yes, babujeo naye kitegeeza nti abantu bagenda kusolida from anywhere, and there are sharp corners there that are not really good. There's some dark corners in there, blind spots actually, that are not good. Maybe we should have one of these days to actually address these issues.
We shall have one of the officials come on board and put them on the spot on some of these things.
All right, some reactions more regarding and concerning what we were talking about earlier today. All our conversation today has been based on the final send-off of the late Jacob Oulanyah. Again, we do have Rukunda Benjamin, who stated that Ugandans should learn to keep their word as well as their promises. The late Speaker Jacob Oulanyah was well known for that. We did have Jacob Oulanyah attesting to that, National Council, Youth Council Chairman, and we've had also Innocent Kawoya also attesting to the very same. And then we do have another message here
from Karumuna Kagubare. Death is a question without an answer, and an answer without a question. R.I.P. Jacob Oulanyah, the history of Uganda will never forget you.
All right, well, thank you so much for your reactions. Another one, Douglas Otura, you're saying, R.I.P. Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, a lot has been said about your exemplary character by your close associates, family, fellow MPs. Your views on bad governance won't be forgotten. Okay.
There you are.
Time to sign out. Chris, shall you please sign right here on that dotted line?
Oh, I got my own pen.
Okay, all right.
Okay. How come I don't? Where is the amount column?
Please, ask the finance officer of NMJ. For now, Morning at NTV does a sign out. We wish you a blessed, lovely day. And please continue watching NTV all throughout the day.
Good morning.
Priscilla, Regina, Naloga.
And Chris Higenyi.
With a bit of daring and grandma's secret recipe.